All right. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Can you all hear me and see a screen? Yes? No? Let me know. Yeah. Okay. First of all, very, very sorry for keeping you all waiting for the 10 minutes. We'll start with 2015, right? And we'll go up to 2020. We'll finish off the Unit 6 past papers today and ideally start from the grade 13 syllabus, that is unit number 7 from next week. All right. So that is the plan for now. Okay, and now I will be going a bit faster, right? The main reason is that most of these questions that show up here are questions that we have already discussed, right? So we've already discussed these questions in different other sections. So I will not be going into very detail because this is the last class for unit number 6. All the basics for unit number 6 have been discussed in previous questions. Okay, right. So we'll start off with the first one. Okay, 2015, question number 5, right? Essay question number 5, part 1. Okay, they say, consider the following aggregate consumption function, C equals A plus B by D. In this equation, C is aggregate consumption and YD is disposable national income. How do you interpret the coefficient A and B, right? So I think that's a easy question. If they give you 4 marks for a question like that, right? And they ask you how to interpret A and B. Okay, so you need to write for 2 marks for A, 2 marks for B. Okay, so what is A and what is B? What do you all think? This comes from the very, very basics, right? So in simple terms, A is your autonomous consumption. What does autonomous consumption mean? Right? A is autonomous consumption. What is autonomous consumption? Autonomous consumption means the consumption that doesn't depend on income, right? The consumption that does not, right? That does not depend on income. Or in simple terms, you can say the level of consumption, right? The level of consumption when income is 0. That is what your autonomous consumption. I'm not going to go in detail on what these components are. I'm hoping by now you all know these. Okay. So in addition to that, is there anything else that you can add to this? Anything else that we can add to this for your A part? For 2 marks, I think we'll need one more small point. Just that is not going to be enough. So in addition to this, you can add, right? You can say exactly, right? So this denotes, right? You can say this denotes the minimum level, right? Minimum level of consumption required, right? To sustain human life, right? So you can talk about that, right? So you can say this is the minimum level of consumption required to sustain human life. What does that mean? Now, if you practically look at it, okay, even when income is 0, we are spending something on consumption, right? So what does that mean? When you're earning nothing, if you're still spending some amount, right? You're earning almost nothing, but you're still spending some amount. What will you be spending? Let's say you lost your job this month, but you're still spending something on consumption. So you will be spending on the essentials, right? On the minimum things that you need for survival. You're not going to buy luxury things and all of it. That is why we say it denotes the minimum level of consumption required to sustain human life. Okay, intersection point, I think that is highlighted through this, that the level of consumption when income is 0. So you can highlight that. Okay, and then our B component. What is our B component? What can we write to this? What is our B component? The B component, right? It's also known, right? Also known as the marginal propensity, right? Propensity to consume, or in other words, we call this income induced consumption, right? Income induced consumption. So here you can say, what else can we add this? Okay, so you can also add This is the slope of the consumption curve. What else? Okay, so in very simple terms, explain what this is, right? So MPC, right? What does it denote, right? So this talks about, okay, when income increases, right? When, okay, so when income increases, the portion of it, right? The portion of it which is spent on consumption. Now, for example, let's say, if you want, you can put in equation also here, right? All right. Okay, so MPC can write the equation. Okay, so MPC is equal to change in consumption divided by the change in income. So you can give in points like that as well. So small things. In addition to this, if you want, you can put in an example and explain also. You can say if income increases by 1,000 and if a person spends 800 out of it, MPC is 0.8. So something like that. You can put in some examples also and explain. Remember, you need to write for 2 marks for what is autonomous consumption. You need to write for 2 marks for what is marginal propensity to consume. That's all that you have to do. Again, a very, very simple question. Okay. So that's about the first one. Okay. So then we'll move on to the second one. Now, second one is a question that I think we have done before. Okay. What is meant by equilibrium level of national income and what are the conditions required for equilibrium level in national income in an open economy? Okay. Did we do this before? Yes, I think we have. Did no? Is there in some previous paper, right? Is it there? No? Okay, so in very simple terms, if I'm to let you all know, okay, what is equilibrium level of national income? Equilibrium level of national income, right, is the level of national income where, right, the planned output is equal to the planned expenditure. So in this case, you can say there is no tendency for the national income to increase or to decrease. So there is a formal definition that is there. You can check your past paper book. You can check whatever your theory and revision note that is. You can write something similar to that or something in your words which still talk about the same story. And then what are the conditions required for equilibrium in national income in an open economy? Guys, when they give you a question like this, right? So when they say what are the conditions required in an open economy, right? They're giving you a hint saying that conditions you need to expand it a little, right? So I'm not going to give you definitions here. You all can figure out the definition, right? So write the definition for equilibrium national income. And then when you talk about the conditions, okay? So conditions, right? Again, a very simple thing, right? You expand it and write, right? Don't write the very simple thing, right? I'll just give you the simple condition, right? So what don't say y equals E, say that the planned aggregate output should equal to the planned aggregate expenditure. Give me a second. Okay, so it's a planned aggregate output should equal to the planned aggregate expenditure. So then you can say in an open economy, right? E is equal to consumption C plus I plus G plus net exports. So therefore, Y is equal to C plus I plus G plus net exports. So you can give in one condition that way. So remember, when they're asking you conditions for an open economy, you need to give in the components with an open economy perspective. And then the second condition that you can talk about is the withdrawals equals inject. I just don't say W equals J. I'm just writing it for easy purposes here, right? In your answer, you say total withdrawals equals total injections. Write it in a form of a sentence. And then you can say within brackets W equals J. So then you can say in an open economy, what are the withdrawals that is there? You have savings, taxes, you have savings, taxes, and inputs. What are the injections we have? We have injections like investment, government spending, and exports. So you can highlight, right? Even these also you can write it in long forms, right? You don't have to write the ST and M. You can say savings, tax, imports. Within brackets, you can put the letters if you want to. Okay, and then say the savings, taxes, and imports, the total of it should equal to the investment, government spending, and exports. That is condition number 2. And then the third condition, right? This you don't really have to maybe expand even, it's not that necessary, right? The third condition, you can say the aggregate demand of the economy should be equal to the aggregate supply. Okay, so you can say the aggregate demand, right, should equal to the aggregate supply. So you can give in, if you want, you can write components also, no problem at all. So something like this is what they would expect in that question. So 2015 question number 2 is always when you're writing questions, okay, the trick is to break it down into smaller parts. See how are they going to give you marks. Okay, so ideally in this question, right, so what is meant by equilibrium of national income and what are the 3 conditions? So ideally, so you can't now looking at the marking scheme, you can see the exact marks, right? But now when you're writing A levels, you don't know, right? How many marks are they going to allocate? So just at least have a rough idea, right? Based on how the past papers you have done, based on that, you should be able to figure out maybe, okay, maybe they'll give me 1 mark for equilibrium of national income, 3 marks for the condition. That can be one possibility. Or another possibility could be maybe 2 marks for the definition, 2 marks for this. That is how the 4 marks. So in that case, when you're writing your answer, so maximum that they can give you for equilibrium level of national income, the definition is 2 marks. So you write for 2 marks. And then the conditions, maximum they can give you is 3 marks. You write for 3 marks because you don't know, is it 1 and 3 or 2 and 2? So that is on that day, the examiner would give you, depends on the examiner. But with experience, if you have done the papers, you should be able to figure it out exactly how much. Okay. So that is the answer for the second one. Again, very direct questions, right? You don't get any that much of hard questions here. Then the third question here, they talk about, suppose in a closed economy, planned savings is greater than planned investment. A good question, right? Under such situation, explain how the economy achieves equilibrium level of national income. A closed economy, right, is an economy with just the government. So in this situation, when savings are greater than investment, what do you think happens to national income? When savings are greater than investment? In our third sector, 2015 question number 3, right? So if savings are greater than investment, what should happen to national income for you to reach equilibrium? Okay, so in very simple terms, if I'm to draw the diagram for you, okay, drawing a diagram is the worst nightmare here. Okay, so you have your withdrawals, okay, and then you have your injections. So in this case, right, what has happened? Your savings are greater than your investment. So this is your withdrawals, your savings curve, right? This is your injections, right? Exactly, your J curve. So when your withdrawals are greater, okay, which point of the diagram are you in? You're in this side of the diagram, right? Where your savings are greater than withdrawals. So in this situation, for you to reach equilibrium, what needs to be done? Okay, so what is the situation called? So I'm hoping you all know by now. I think I taught you all the full diagram, right? I think I did, right? So the y equals E line is there, right? Okay, and you have the expenditure function, right? Okay, my diagram is a little bad, but don't mind that. Okay, so you have the expenditure function, right? And you have the y equals E line, okay? So in this situation where savings is greater than injections, what does this denote? This denotes a situation of a involuntary what? Involuntary inventory accumulation. So in this situation, what has happened? So you can say right now, I'll just give you points that you can write. So they're asking you when savings is greater than investment, what you should do. So one point that you can say is when savings are greater than investments, right? In very simple terms, say that the withdrawals, right? The withdrawals are greater than, right? So withdrawals are greater than injections. Or in other words, you can also say that the output is greater than the planned expenditure. So in such a situation, in order to achieve macroeconomic equilibrium, right? Yes, immediately you can destock, but that is not the main point here. You can talk about, right? You need to, sorry, not destock, guys. You need to stop. Okay. So what can you write here? You can say, in order to achieve equilibrium, right? In order to achieve equilibrium. Guys, these all I taught you before, right? That is why I'm going on top. Okay, I'm not going in detail. So in order to achieve equilibrium, what should happen, guys? The output should increase or decrease. This is your output. What should happen? Should the output increase or should the output decrease? This is your equilibrium point. You're somewhere in this range. To come to this side, you have to decrease your output, right? So in order to achieve equilibrium, the output has to decrease. So something like that, I feel, is more than enough. You can have a proper diagram as well. Okay, for a question like that. So either okay, price or output, but ideally they're asking you for the output here. No? Yes, they're asking you. Under such situation, now explain how does the economy achieve equilibrium of national income? Yes, ideally by decreasing output. If not, they can even decrease price and they can do something like that. Okay, so I explained that story, I think sometime back. I think 1 or 2 classes before I would have explained that story. Yes, that is what you need to write. And then for question number 4, now you get a calculation like this. Trust me, guys, these are the easiest calculations you can ever get. If you get an 8-mark calculation like this, it's done, sorted, right? That's the easiest 8-mark that you can ever get. Okay. So the following data is given for a closed economy, all figures in millions. They're given you consumption, they're given you investment, they're given you government purchase, taxes, and government transfers. Determine the equilibrium level of national income. Okay. 2 marks for determining equilibrium level of national income. Okay. So how do you figure out equilibrium of national income? I think it's an easy thing. So you say at equilibrium, y equals E, right? So therefore, y is equal to C plus I plus G plus, okay, C plus I plus G. There is no net exports. So then you solve it, right? So how much is consumption? 50 plus 0.8 YD, investment is 120, government purchase is 100. So y is equal to, yes, I will be skipping a few steps in the middle. I'm hoping by now you all should be okay with doing this. So 220, 270 plus 0.8 y. How do you convert the yd into y? So it's y minus t plus transfers. So minus 80 plus transfers 55. So y is equal to, I'll say 270 plus 0.8. Is always what you can do is solve that numbers. Don't go into multiplying 0.8 into 80, 0.8 into 55. It gets a little hard. So what you can ideally do is solve it. So minus 80 plus 55 gives you a minus 25. So now minus 25 into 0.8 is an easy calculation to do for you. So 270 plus 0.8y minus 20. Right? So 0.8 into minus 25 is a minus 20. So then y is equal to 250 plus 0.8y. I'll bring the 0.8y into this side. So it becomes 0.2y, right? So 1y minus 0.8y. So 0.2y equals 250. How much is y equal to? 250 divided by 0.2, you get 1250. So that is your answer for your A component of that question. Okay, a very easy equilibrium question. By now, I'm hoping with a few months to go for your levels, you all need to be expert in that. Okay, you're still blank at that, and there is a problem. Okay, so that's part one. Then the second one, if the government purchase rises to 200 million, what would be the new level of equilibrium? So two ways of doing this, right? One is you can actually make that 100 or 200 and do the calculation all over again. Or else what you can do is you can find the multiplier, find the change, and you can do it. So two ways to do it. Since they're asking the multiplier in part C, I'll not do the multiplier method. I'll just do the normal other way, right? So again, if they ask you, what is the value of government? So if the government purchase rises, what you can do. So ideally what you should do here is instead of this 100 now G, you make this 200, right? So government purchase rises. Guys, always be very careful, right? When they say rises to 200, then G is 200. But if they say rises by 200, then how much should I put as G there? If they have given rises by 200, exactly. If they've given rises by 200, you need to put 300. Be very, very careful of how they have worded that, right? So if government purchase rises to 200, then yes, I put 200 as G. But if they say government purchase rises by 200, right? Please make sure you need to add the previous one as well. So here they're saying just rises to 200. So simple things, what you need to just change, right? I'll just, nothing big changes here. I'll just make the small changes. You all can do the calculation again, right? I'm not going to do the calculation again. Hold on. So this just becomes 370. This becomes 350, 350, 350 divided by 0.2. You get 1750, right? That's how the answer works, right? Just go through it. There's nothing big of a change, right? The only change is that 100 has now become 200. Okay, that part is also done. So 4 marks gone. Okay, part C. What is the value of the government expenditure multiplier? Again, a very, very easy question that you can get. So how do you find the expenditure multiplier, right? So guys, when you get a question like this for 2 marks, they will give you a mark for the equation also. Okay. Okay, so if they're giving you marks for the equation, what is our equation? K is equal to 1 divided by, you can say, 1 minus MPC. So I'm hoping by now 0.8 MPC, you all know multiplier is 5. But still, whatever said and done, you put the numbers, right? Put the numbers to the equation. Okay, so you say K is equal to 1 over 1 minus 0.8. You can say it's 1 divided by 0.2 and that. And at the end, say that the multiplier K is 5 times, right? So multiplier, guys, it's not a percentage. It's not a rupee, right? It's how many times does it get multiplied by. So you can say 5 times. Another 2 marks. There. Again, a very easy question. Okay, so now they ask if the government intends to achieve a target level of national income of, it's again an easy question, but comparatively the harder one from the 3. Okay, if the government intends to achieve a target level of national income of 2000, what would be the required level of total government purchases? Okay, so a nice question. Currently, how much is our equilibrium? Currently, after the government has increased to 200, it's 1750. Now they want to go to an equilibrium level of 2000. So look at this thing, right? So part B, okay. What you can do is you can follow this, right? So current equilibrium, okay, current equilibrium is equal to 1750, which we calculated in part B, right? So the target level, right? You can say the target equilibrium or full employment, if that is how they have worded it. The target equilibrium is how much? Is 2000. So how much of a change in equilibrium do we need? How much of a change in equilibrium? We need a change of 250, right? That's not your answer, right? So change in equilibrium you need, right? So change in national income, right? National income has to change by 250. So now for your national income to change by 250, by how much should your government spending change by? That is the question. So you all know this equation, right? You all know this equation. K is equal to change in national income divided by a change in autonomous expenditure. You can say change in government spending here. So put it into this equation, right? You have calculated your K. You have your K as 5 times. You calculated in the previous question. Change in national income we got as 250. Can you tell me how much is the change in government spending required? Move things around. Change in government spending. The change in government spending. So the multiplier is 5, right? The national income you need to, sorry. Change in government spending is 250 divided by 5, right? So, okay, that's your multiplier. So how much of a change in government spending do we need? We need a change in government spending of 50 million. Okay, so okay, show those step by step, show it, right? This is the change in government spending you need. So you need a 50 million. I don't know if that's million. Okay, so you need change in government spending of 50. So currently, how much is your government spending? It's 200. They're asking you in this question, what would be the required level of total government purchase or government spend? So you need a change of 50. So what is your final answer? Is your final answer 50? Or is it something else? What is the level of government spending required? The level of government spending required will be that 50 plus the previous 200, right? So the level of government spending is the 200 plus the current change, which you need a 50. So if the government spending is 250, you can achieve an equilibrium output of 2000. So guys, if you all want to recheck your answer at home, right, what you can do is, okay, so if you want to see how does this make sense, give me a second, my board is stuck. Okay, so what you can do is in this question, right, instead of 200, now put 250 and see. So put 250 and see if you get 2000. So in simple terms, what is the question? The question is saying you have a target level of 2000. To achieve 2000 of this thing, how much of government spending you need? So to do that only, first we follow these steps. The current equilibrium is 1750. Your target is 2000. So you need a change of 250. Then put that, then plug it into this, plug it into this equation, right? This is a very basic equation that we would have done before. Okay, so plug it into that equation, you put in your numbers, you get a change in government spending. Remember, this is not the final answer. Okay, got 2000, that means your answer is correct. So that is the change in government spending. Okay, 50. So again, look very carefully, what is the question talking about? Is the question asking what is the change in government spending, or is the question asking the level of government spending? So if they had asked you the change in government spending at 50 there, you can stop. But if they're asking you for the level of government spending, it's not 50, no. It's that previous 200 plus the 50. So government spending has to be at a level of 250 in order to achieve equilibrium output of 2000. So it's a very, very easy sum for those who know it. Trust me, this is nothing. So that's the easiest 8 marks which you could have earned. Okay, hoping that's fine. 2015. Shall we move on to 16? Okay. Fine. You'll need 1 minute to digest. In part A, the income is 1250. Should we find for that? No, so even if you find for 1250, you still get the same answer. Because they're asking you for the level of government purchase. At the end of the day, your level of government purchase will be 250. That will not change. But ideally, if they have a new part, right? They have part B, no? So then ideally, you go with current equilibrium 1750. I guess if I have to zoom out to get a screenshot, I don't. Which equation should you use? What do you mean y/dy? YDOY for what? When you're doing this, you need to, for the last question, that doesn't matter, guys. It doesn't really matter if whether I'm using YD or Y, right? So you simply go with this, right? The change in national income and change in this. There is no YD or Y involved. That YD thing comes when you have consumption part. When you want to convert that consumption equation YD into a Y, that is where that matters. But it doesn't matter whether you use YD if this is YD or Y. Okay. Right. That is basically it. We'll move on to the next one. Guys, trust me, these are very easy questions, right? It's not hard. So if you know the unit, it's very easy. Okay, we'll move on to 2016. Right. So this is the 2016 A-level question. I think we usually have two parts. Okay. The following is the macroeconomic data for a given economy, and they're asking you for 4 marks to determine the equilibrium level of national income. Come on, you can't get questions easier than this. So let's do it a bit faster. Y equals E. Okay. How much do we get? So Y is equal to C plus I plus G plus net exports. Okay. So Y is equal to how much is consumption? Now consumption, they have not given you the equation, but can you see they have given you autonomous consumption is 500. That is your A component of the consumption function. And disposable MPC is 0.8. So 0.8 YD. You can make your consumption function through that given information. Investment, they have given you is 1,250. Government purchases, they've given you as 1,000. And then net exports, they've told you it's a minus 250. So solve this, you will get your answer. Okay. Give me a second. Let me move it to the side. So we have space. Hold on. Okay. I'll do it on this side. Okay. So Y is equal to, then I just add all the autonomous components at the beginning. So 2000, it's 2,500 if I'm not mistaken. 2,500. 1,005. 1,250. Yeah, 25. 0.8 Y minus T plus transfers. So have they given you taxes and transfers? Government spending, net exports, MPC. No, there is no transfers also. So you can simply convert the YD into Y. Okay. So there is no taxes or transfers. So YD is equal to Y in that case. So then 0.2Y is equal to how much? 0.2Y is equal to 2,500. So Y is equal to 2,500 divided by 0.2. You get Y equals 12,500. It's not 1,250, it's 12,500. That is your final answer. Okay, so for part 1, it's a very simple question. This is the easiest way you can get 4 marks. But ideally, in your paper now, they will not give you a calculation this easy to get 4 marks. If they give you, you should be lucky enough to get that done, right? So then part 5, okay, this I think would be a little bit interesting. They're asking you the macroeconomic data for a given economy, national income, consumption, government purchase, net exports, and budget deficit. Okay. They're asking you calculate the disposable national income. Okay, listen very carefully in this question here. Okay, how do you calculate disposable national income? How do you calculate YD? YD is equal to Y minus your taxes, right? Your disposable national income. Plus, if there is any transfers, you can talk about that, or you can simply say minus net taxes. Okay, so I'll just say taxes. Okay, so in this case, what information you need to find YD, right? So YD you need to find. Okay, YD is what you need to find. The income is given 1,000. Okay, but have they given you taxes? They have not given you taxes. Now you have 2 unknowns. How do you find this tax figure now? That is important. How do you find the tax figure? They're asking you to calculate disposable income. They have given you national income, Y is 1,000. Taxes also they have not given you. How are you going to find this? How are you going to solve this and get it? Exactly, guys. Through the government, the budget, right? So if you know, right, the budget balance, okay, the government's budget balance is equal to their income minus their spending, their government spending. So budget balance they are saying is a deficit. So it's a minus 40, a negative 40. The taxes you don't know. That is what you're trying to find. Government spending they have given, right? In the question they have said it's a 250. So T minus G is a T minus 250. So move things around. Now see how much of taxes do you have? How much is our taxes? That's how you find the taxes. Okay, so budget balance, that's government's income minus government's expenditure, T minus G. You move things around, guys, I think you get 210. Yes, not 290. It's a minus 250. You take it to the other side, becomes a plus 250. So plus 250 minus 40. Guys, you remember this is a deficit, budget deficit. So budget deficit, you need to put it as a minus. Don't put it as a plus. They will not put it as a minus in the question. But you be very careful when they say budget deficit, it has to be a minus figure. Okay, so T is equal to 210. So now you go back to your question here. Now you can find it, right? So YD is equal to 1000 minus 210. How much you get? YD equals 790. That's how you get that answer there. Okay. So directly they will not give you. This is a very common question that I have seen in a few papers. So make sure that you know this. Okay. And then part B of the question, they're asking what is the value of investment in the economy. So in order to find the value of investment, guys, you go with the normal equation, right? So Y is equal to C plus I plus G plus net exports. So Y they have given you it as 1000, right? Consumption they have given as 500. Investment is what you're finding. Government spending given 250. Net exports given 100. So move things around. I think it's a very simple question. How much is our investment here? This is not plus, this is the equals. Right? How much we get, guys? Investment. I'm not going to do the maths for you. Move things around. Do we get 150? Yes. Okay. So that's how you move things around and you get 100. Okay, I'm hoping by now you all can move it around. Subject IN. Get that right. So that's again a very easy question. Trust me, guys, these sums are the easiest questions, right? So I also personally in A levels, I did write question number 5. I don't write question number 1. Question number 1, I know it's an easy question, but since it's a lot of theory, I feel, you can't score the 20 out of the 20. But now if someone is just looking at, a normal 75, right, or just passing, then definitely do question number 1. But if you're looking at, let's say, a higher grade, right, a grade of, let's say, I don't know, if you're targeting, let's say, a 95 or something of that level, then I would recommend go more into sums, right? So because in sums you can score, there is no way they can cut marks off. If you get the answer right, if you show your method, full marks out of full marks. But in theory questions, there are situations where they can cut marks off. Maybe, you would have not structured your answer properly. Maybe you would have written something a little bit wrong with, you getting a little panicked. So there you can get a few marks cut off, right? Because again, this advice is for someone going for a 95, right? Or a 90 at least. If you're just targeting a 75 or just looking at just passing, I'm hoping no one is here looking at just passing, right? If you're at that point, then definitely do question number 1. Don't even think of question number 5. Okay. So if you're looking at just passing, I would say question number 1, 2, and 4, right? But if you're looking at something beyond, question number 5 is again a little, depends on you. If there's a lot of calculations and if you're good at that, then yes, because calculations, there is 2 sides, okay? If you get it right, you get the full marks. You get it wrong, sometimes you might get 0 marks. So that risk is there, but for a person going for a 95 is a person who is definitely prepared to take that risk, right? So that's up to you on that day, right? Whether you really want to, with higher the risk, higher the reward, right? So you really want to take that risk, but come on, a person going for a 95 is definitely well prepared for all of those questions. Okay, that's it with 2016. Then we go into 2017. Okay, so I think this is the paper that I wrote for, and I think I did this question as well in A levels. Okay. Okay. So again, an easy question. Can you see there's a lot of sums and numbers and that. So they say this is the 2017 paper. If anyone is joining newly and wondering where are we? Okay, hold on. This is the 2017 A-level paper, question number 5. Okay. Okay. So they've said, suppose an aggregate consumption function for a simple economy is given by C equals 100 plus 0.8, while investment is 200. Okay, what is the level of equilibrium? What is the level of savings at equilibrium? If for some reason aggregate output were at 1007, what would the level of inventory accumulation be? Okay, easy questions. Okay, so here, okay, guys, can you all give me equilibrium? Do you all want me to find equilibrium, or by now I think you all should be able to find equilibrium? Are we okay? Can I skip that step? Equilibrium now, y equals E, right? So I'm not going to show you the full thing. I'm hoping by now you all can do that. So 100 plus 0.8 y plus 200. So you solve this. How much do we get as y? Can someone give me the final answer? Because I'm skipping a few steps, okay? I'm hoping by now you all should be able to figure that out after doing so many sums. 1005, okay? Right, so you solve this. You have a few steps in between. You all can do that. You get 1005, okay? So then they say, what is the level of savings at equilibrium? So if they give you a simple question like that, ask you for savings, guys, first make the savings equation. So if the consumption equation is 100 plus 0.8y, how much is the savings equation? What is our savings equation? C equals 100 plus 0.8y. Our savings equation is then, it's a minus 100 plus 0.2y. Okay. So now you substitute. Now you found y now in the previous question. So minus 100 plus 0.2 into 1500. So 0.2 into 1500 is 300. 300 minus 100, you get a 200. So simple thing like that. Do that, you get your equation. So you can say SC equals this, and you can, I'm just showing you the simple way. Okay. SC equals that, and then you substitute and find. Done. So then they're asking, if for some reason, if the aggregate output was at a level of 1007, what would be the inventory accumulation? Yes. Now this side is your expenditure. Can you see? This is your E. So they are saying, right? So the E what we found is 1500. But the output is, they are saying, is at 1700. So the economy is not at equilibrium. So there is a situation of inventory accumulation. How much of inventory accumulation do we have? Part C. Again, a very easy question, guys, right? So, okay, so our expenditure, to find the inventory accumulation, we need to compare expenditure and output. So they are saying output is at 1007. The expenditure we found before, right? Y equals E, we said E equals C plus I, right? So the expenditure, we got it as 1500. So then how much of this do we have? 1500. We have an accumulation. Accumulation means we have too much. Can you see the output of the country is 1007, but people are only willing to spend 1005. So how much of inventory have we accumulated? Right? So you can say inventory accumulation, because I'm writing shortened forms here. Okay. Inventory accumulation equals 200. How much? Million, no billion? No, nothing like this. You can just say 200. Simple as that. So you get your 6 marks for such an easy question. Okay, trust me, guys, these are very basic stuff. Okay, then you have part 2, coming from a balanced budget multiplier. Did I teach you all the balanced budget multiplier in any question before? Yes. Balanced budget multiplier. I think I did. Yes or no? On a previous question on this thing? Yes or no? Because I don't want to take time to go into detail. I taught it in an MCQ. Okay, to explain part C in very simple terms again, guys, they're asking you, if the output was at 1007, what would be the inventory accumulation? So remember this part, Remember that diagram I would have taught you all on inventory accumulation. This is the Y equals E line. This is the expenditure, right? So you are at somewhere this level, right? Your expenditure is 1005, but your output is 1007. So they're asking you how much is that gap, right? So your Y is 1007, right? Y equals E. Your expenditure is 1005. So the accumulation is 200. Where did I get the numbers from? 1007 came from the question itself. They are telling you it's 1007. Where did I get this E 1500? I calculated here, right? In the first part, Y equals E equals C plus I. So once I solve this now, I got this 1005. So that number only, I put it over here. Okay. Right. Okay. So the balance budget multiplier, I think I would have taught you all in an MCQ then, right? So I'm not going to go in very much detail. They're asking you, explain why a 500 million reduction in government purchase will generate a larger fall in real GDP than a 500 million increase in tax. If you can understand this question like this, I think you're at a pretty much of a good level. Okay. So what happens over here, guys? I'll explain it in a little bit of a simple terms, right? So so they're saying a 500 million reduction in government purchase. So you know, right? Your Y is equal to E. So Y is equal to C plus I plus G plus net export. So when you reduce government purchase, listen very carefully, right? When you go and reduce government purchase, okay? So they're asking why is a reduction in government purchase more causes a bigger fall than an increase in tax. Okay, the balance budget multiplier story here. So when you reduce government purchase, guys, it has a direct impact, right? It directly impacts your disposable income. So first thing that you need to say is when government purchase is reduced. Okay, so you can highlight, you can say when government, I'll just say G, right? Government, I'll say G for government spending, right? Government spending is reduced. It has a direct impact. You need to highlight that fact, right? That it has a direct impact on this. But when this happens, when taxes increase, what do you think happens? Now, is tax a component here? Can you see C plus I plus D plus NX? Is there a T inside this? Where does the T fit in this part? So if you have Y equals C plus I plus G plus NX. Now, when you increase taxes, when you reduce taxes, how come national income is increasing? Which of these parts is getting affected? Which one? No, not the G. Okay, I'll just give you numbers if you want, right? So let's make a small assumption here, right? So let's say Y is equal, let's say consumption, guys, I'll just give you some random numbers, okay? So C equals, let's say 100 plus 0.85D. And then let's say investment is another 100. Hold on, investment 100. Government purchase is, let's say it was 800 and net exports is, let's say, a 50. Okay, so when you reduce this by 500, right, your Y is directly impacted. But in this case, right, when you reduce, let's say I'll put the same numbers here, 100 plus 0.8, right? So guys, the taxes does not come in anywhere else, the taxes come in consumption, right? So it's Y minus T here, right? Plus 100 plus, let's say 800 or plus 50. Okay, now when you reduce taxes, guys, listen very carefully. I'm not going to recap this, not going to touch this again. I think I explained this before also. When you reduce taxes, okay, listen carefully, okay. When you reduce taxes by 500, how much does consumption increase by? When you reduce government spending by 500, Y also will fall by 500 and it gets multiplied. But if you increase tax by 500, how much does consumption fall by? Does it also fall by 500 according to my example? How much does that fall by? How much does consumption fall by if you increase taxes? Guys, remember this, right? Your taxes, okay, it first goes and affects disposable income. It doesn't directly affect consumption. It first goes and affects disposable income. So when you're, okay, so when G is reduced, it has direct impact, right? Where the government spending increases by, government spending decreases by 500, okay? But when you increase taxes, listen very carefully, right? When you increase the tax, hold on, when tax is increased, okay, it doesn't affect consumption directly. Consumption is the component of aggregate expenditure. When tax is increased, right, it affects, right, disposable income, right? It affects disposable income. Your YD changes, okay? It affects the disposable income. But as a result, when you increase tax, right, YD falls by 500. So if you increase tax by 500, that means the amount that you're actually getting to your hand decreases by 500. So your disposable income falls by 1. But when your disposable income falls by 500, right, how much does your consumption fall by? But how much does consumption fall by? Does consumption also fall by 500? How much? Is our MPC is 0.8. How much do you think it will fall by? So when our disposable income falls by 500, guys, only a part of your disposable income you consume, right? So from that 500, only 0.8 affects consumption. So your consumption will fall by 400, guys. That's 500 into 0.8, our MPC. So when you look at this, okay, which one is more expansion? Now, when you reduce government, when you reduce G decreased by 500 directly. So that causes a huge fall. But when you decrease this, when you decreased your when you increased your taxes, hold on. Okay, so when you increase taxes, YD falls by 500, correct? But when YD falls by 500, your consumption will only fall by 400. So which one is more, which has a more impact? It's your government spending that has a more impact. So ideally what you need to write, 1 mark, you need to talk about that. You don't have to put numbers here, right? I just put numbers to explain. If you have not got it, just leave it. That means you don't know the balanced budget multiplier. I'm not teaching the balanced budget multiplier from the beginning. Okay, I'm hoping that you all were there in the previous classes and was able to catch it up, or whoever who taught you all unit number 6 would have taught you all that. Okay, so just things to recap, right? The question is, why is a reduction in government spending, okay, why does that have a higher effect than an increase in taxes? So, you know, if you reduce government spending also, national income falls. If you increase tax also, national income falls. But they are saying you're reducing by the same amount, 500, and increasing also by 500. But why is government spending having a higher impact? The government spending is having a higher impact because the government spending has a direct impact. It directly goes and affects a component of aggregate expenditure. But when you take taxes, when you increase taxes, it doesn't directly affect your aggregate expenditure. It first goes and affects your disposable income. So when it affects your disposable income, only a portion of it will affect your consumption, not the entire thing. So if disposable income falls by 500, does not mean your consumption falls by 500. Your consumption will only fall by 500 into whatever that you are spending, 0.8 in my example, right? So your consumption will fall by 400. So that is why this is more expansion. So you get kind of like 2 marks for that. In addition to this, you can also write the the balanced budget multiplier, right? So you can talk about not the balanced budget multiplier. You can talk about the multipliers. So KG equals, how much is our government spending multiplier, guys? KG is equal to 1 over 1 minus MPC. So how much do we get as our government? You can solve this and you can get. So let's say MPC is 0.8. How much do we get here? Multiplier is how many times? 5 times. Okay, how much is our KT? KT 1 over, sorry, not 1 over, it's minus MPC or minus B over 1 minus MPC. So how much do we get there? Numbers for KT, the number we get. You can solve this, right? I'm not going to show the workings on how the answer comes. So by now, I'm hoping you all should be able to figure that out as well. Okay. Hold on. Okay, so here you get minus 4 times. So if you're, according to your question, right? If government spending increases by 500, right? So you know this equation, right? K is equal to okay, so I'm not going to put the equation and all, right? So how much will national income increase by? National income increases by, so if government spending decreases by, sorry, not increases, it has to be decreases. Hold on. Get this board and noise. Okay. Okay, how much will national income decrease by? So if you decrease government spending by 500, it gets multiplied by 5. Hold on. Okay. Okay, so it multiplies by 5, your national income will decrease by 2,500. But in this case, how much will national income decrease by? National income decreases by, so here you have this thing of minus 4. If you increase tax by 500, right, it gets multiplied by minus 4. But national income only decreases by 2,000. So that story, if you can highlight, I think it's more than enough. So that's what you need to kind of highlight. So ideally, they'll give you 2 marks for talking about direct impact, indirect impact, maybe another 2 marks on maybe, since they have given you values of 500 and 500 on showing how that impacts. Okay. Done? Rush to the final part here since I'm done with the final part. Right? So that's that part. So why is a 500 million reduction in government purchase will generate a larger fall in GDP than a 500 million increase in tax? So we talk about the impact, that this has a direct impact, this has an indirect impact, and then you can do the calculation, and so you can actually calculate the multiplier. So this is 5 times, this is minus 4 times, right? Guys, MPC, I just assumed and gave a number, right? So you can, in your question, you can assume MPC is 0.8, and then you can calculate the multipliers and you can show. So to prove your point, prove that here national income decreases by larger amount than this. Okay, that's about part 2 there. Okay, then part 3. Again, an easy question. Assume that GDP is Y is 6,000, personal disposable income is 5,100, that is YD. Government budget deficit is 200, consumption is 3,800, and the trade deficit is 100. What is the amount of savings in this economy? How do you find savings, guys? Now, these questions, if you're like the moment you see it, you will not figure it out, but you can. Okay, so this is question number 3. Okay, question number 3, part A. So how do you find savings, guys? Savings is your disposable income minus your consumption, no? from your disposable income, a part you consume, a part you save. So from YD minus this, it's equal to your saving. So how much is your disposable income? In this question, they have said disposable income is 5,100. Consumption they have given as how much? 3,800. So this minus this, how much do we get? 2,300. That's your answer for question number 1. That is your savings. Then part B, they ask you, what is the size of investment? So to find the size of investment, you can do the calculation. Okay, but okay. So E is equal to, okay. So Y is equal to C plus I plus G. Okay, can you do withdrawals injections? No, but still you need taxes. No? You need taxes and there is trade deficit. No, I would like to go with Y equals E. That would make it easier. So Y equals E. Yes, you can do withdrawals easier, no problem, but I think this is easier. C plus I plus G plus net exports. So Y is equal to C plus I plus G and net exports. Then your Y they have given as 6,000. Okay. Your consumption they have given as how much? 3,800. Your investment is what is they're asking to find. Government spending also they don't have, right? That's the next component that you need to find. And your net exports. Net exports is given as a trade deficit of 100. Okay. So shall we find part C and then come back to this? Okay. So part C, your government purchase. How do you find your government spending, guys? I think we did this before now. Previous question we did this. Previous question we found that the taxes. How do you find government spending? Exactly, from your budget deficit. So government spending is equal to your budget balance is equal to T minus G, right? So budget balance they have given you as how much? Deficit of minus 200. They told you there is a deficit of 200. T is not given, G is not given. So they ask you to find G. So how do you get T now? How do you find the tax value? Where does this tax value come? Can you see they have given you Y and YD, right? So Y is equal, sorry, YD is equal to Y minus T, right? So how much is YD? That is 5,100. Y is 6,000. So how much is our taxes, guys? Easy calculation. Move things around. 6,000 minus T. We get taxes as 900. So now take this 900 figure and plug it into this. Right? So minus 200 is equal to, this is 900 minus G. So how much is our government spending, guys? Then our government spending is 1,100. Okay, so that's our count. So then you can plug it back into this question, or you can use the withdrawals equals injections, but I feel this is much more easier. Okay, so 6,000 is equal to 3,800 plus I is what you're finding. G you found as 1,100 plus a minus 100. Okay, can you move things around and tell you how much is I? I'm not going to do that for you. I is 1,200. Yes, or is something else? 1,002, fine. So move things around. Okay, you get that. So that is how you can figure that one out. Again, a 6-mark easy question, because you will not get questions as easy as this again. Okay, and then the fourth part, that is this. The equilibrium level of national income is not necessarily equal to the full employment level of national income. I think I have discussed this before. Do you all want me to discuss this again? I think I did this last time. The inflationary output gap, deflationary output gap, that the economy can be at equilibrium with inflation and also with unemployment. That is that story that you need to draw and explain. So the same question they ask it in different forms. So I'm not going to explain, guys. I'm hoping we discuss the same exact question, right? In a previous paper. So the equilibrium of national income is not necessarily equal to the full employment level of national income. So you have to show how is the economy at equilibrium with inflation? How is the economy at equilibrium with unemployment? So inflation means beyond full employment. Unemployment means less than full employment, I would have explained in a previous class in detail. You would have written down an answer as well. So that's basically it about the 2017 paper. Okay, so we'll go into, we have 2018 and 19 and 20. Okay, for those who have not done this, can you all take a minute and do that? There is, okay, 12 marks for a sum. I think it's as easy as it can get. Right, so I'll give you a few minutes until I get some water and come. Something's wrong with my throat. Okay, until I get some water and come. Okay, can you all do this question if you have not done it, and put the answers ideally for question part A, B, C, and D, the final answer. Okay, so give me a minute, I'll get some water. Until that, you're supposed to do this, okay? Okay, okay, sorry. Fine. Okay, so I got a few answers. Others, no, can't get it. These are very easy questions. Okay, okay. 2018, question number 5. Okay, I idly want the answer for the second one. Sorry. Okay, first one. Distinguish between induced consumption and autonomous consumption. That also we discussed, right? So same answer that we did before the first one, right? So autonomous consumption, induced consumption is your B component that you need to explain for 2 marks. Autonomous consumption is your A component that you explain for 2 marks. So same thing that we wrote in a answer before. I think we started with that question, right? You can write that same answer for part 1. For part 2, okay, consider the following macroeconomic data of an economy. Okay, what is the savings function? You will not get questions easy than this. Okay, so if consumption is equal to, guys, now when you're getting I'm just saying, right, when you get a question like this in your paper, right, I know it's very easy, but given that they're giving you 2 marks, please write the equation format also. Don't just put the consumption function, savings function, dark color, right? So you say C is equal to A plus B by D, right? And then you can say S is equal to, so C is equal to A plus B by D, and S is equal to, right, S is equal to minus A plus 1 minus B, right? So put that working. I'm just saying, don't forget those things. And then you can say, okay, now S is equal to, so if A is equal to 60, this is minus 60. 1 minus B is 0.2, right? So this will give you a 2 mark. I know you all know it, but don't lose small marks for things like that. Done. Okay, when YD equals 500, calculate average propensity to consume and average propensity to save. Okay, what is this average propensity to consume and average propensity to save? Again, very easy things. This is your B component, APC, right? How much is your APC? How do you calculate APC? APC is equal to your consumption divided by your disposable income. Okay, the ratio between consumption and income, right? So when, hold on, you need to do a small calculation here. That is, when consumption is equal to how much? Okay, when YD equals 500, can you tell me how much is consumption? Okay, first we'll find that and keep. How much is consumption? C is equal to 60 plus 0.8 YD. So C is equal to 60 plus 0.8 into 500. C is equal to 400. 400 plus 60, 460. Okay, how much is our savings then? Okay. If consumption is 460, savings should be the balance, right? If you want, you can put the equation and find, but you will still get the same answer. Okay, so now you have the numbers. Now calculate. So APC is equal to consumption divided by disposable income. Consumption is 460. Disposable income is 500. How much do we get as an answer? Answer 0.92. No, guys, you don't have to get that Y. You don't have to convert it into Y and all of that. You can simply do this. No problem. I'm hoping that's what the past paper also has. Just check the answer. Check have they converted that into this. I don't think. Have they? I can't remember the answer. You don't have to convert that YD into YN. So they're saying YD equals 500. So you can simply give it off as that as well. But okay, taxes and transfers is 175. Just check. Can someone check the past paper and let me know? Have they converted the YD into Y? Or are they just giving it this way? I think you can just give it this way. They use YD now? Yeah, so then you can use YD, no problem. So I also don't see a need to convert because they have given you YD here. No? So you can just use that YD, okay? Okay, so then how much is our APS? Savings is 40. Our disposable income is 500. So how much do we get? We get 0.08. So that's your part. B for 4 marks. Okay, easy as it gets. Then part C, equilibrium level of national income. Again, another 4 mark question for equilibrium level. Okay, so part C, so you start off with Y equals E and then go on. Okay, do you all want me to show this or can you all figure it out? Can figure out or want me to show it? Okay, I'll show it. Y is equal to C plus I plus C plus net exports. So Y is equal to how much is consumption? 60 plus 0.8 YD. Investment is 100. Investment is 100. Government spending is 200. G net exports is not there. Okay, so then Y is equal to, add all the autonomous, you get 360 plus 0.8. I'll convert the YD into Y now. So it's Y minus taxes. Minus taxes is how much? 150 plus transfers 75. Okay, so Y is equal to, remember guys, first add those numbers and sorry, don't multiply both by 0.8. Yes, you can do it that way, but it's more harder, right? So 0.8 Y minus 150 plus 75, you get a minus 75. Just leave it there. Do that step. That makes it very easier to multiply by 0.8. Otherwise, everything you have to multiply by 0.8, right? So Y is equal to 360 plus 0.8 into Y, 0.8 by 0.8 into 75 is a minus 60. So Y is equal to 300 plus 0.8 by, I think after that, solving it is not an issue for you, right? So 300 plus 0.8 Y, so 0.2 Y is equal to 300. Y is equal to 1,500. Okay, so simple as that. 4 marks again for part C. Okay, and then part D, right? What is the value of investment multiplier? Come on, investment multiplier. Part D, investment multiplier. K is equal to, okay, show all the steps, okay? 1 over 1 minus MPC, you can do all that, put the numbers, do everything. So at the end, K is 5 times. Okay, that's your multiply. You all show the steps, right? Substitute and show how you work it and do all of that. Very, very basic things. Okay, that's part D. Done. Okay, then you go in the third question. Assume that in a hypothetical economy, government purchase is 400, taxes, sorry, government with the 400, taxes are 300. Private savings is 200 and private investment is 250. What is the value of net exports in this economy? How are you going to figure this out? Part 3. How are you going to figure it out? Okay, so what you can do is you can use the W equals J approach, right? So for part 3 here, right, I'll just put it on this side over here, right? So you can say for part 3, right? So W equals J, right? What are your withdrawals? You have savings, taxes, and imports is equal to your injections, investment, government spending, and exports. So we'll move imports onto the other side, right? So savings plus taxes is equal to investment. Okay, investment, government spending plus X minus M. So X minus M is your net exports. Okay, so savings, taxes is equal to investment, government spending plus net exports. So now you have the values. So savings, okay, government savings is how much? They're saying is 200. Savings is 200. Taxes, they're saying is 300. Investment, they're saying is a 250. Government spending, they're saying is a 400. So work things around. How much do we get for net exports? How much in net exports, guys? To the basic math. Someone, anyone? Is it a plus 150 or a minus 150? 500. So be very careful. It's a minus 150. The deficit, if you put a plus, I think they'll mark you wrong or they'll not give you full marks. So be very careful with how you put your final answer. Okay. It's a very simple question. Now in this question, if they ask you what is the value of exports and imports, you can't find. You don't have enough data to find that. Maybe if they've given you one of those components, then you could have found. But you can only find net exports. You can't find exports and imports individually. You can't find it. Okay, that's that. Okay, that's 2018. Are we okay there? Step 10, 20 marks. So almost all 20 marks is questions apart from the first one. So not questions, I mean sums. Done. 2018 done. So we'll move on to 2019. Okay, perfect. So this is the 2019 paper. Okay, use a 45-degree line to illustrate macroeconomic equilibrium. In your diagram, show the aggregate expenditure function and the equilibrium level of national income. Make sure the axes are properly labeled, guys. They are simply asking you to draw the diagram, guys. Okay, so the equilibrium diagram. Okay, I'll just show you the basic stuff. So y equals E. This is your y. This is your E axis. Mark this as 0. Have a use a protractor, right? Have a proper 45-degree line, right? Going from the middle. Mark this as 45 degrees. Okay, so 45. And then have your expenditure function E, right? So you can say E is equal to C plus I plus D plus that. This is your Y equals. Okay, I can type that. Okay, so this is your Y equals E line, right? And they're asking you for equilibrium. You can't stop from there. So mark equilibrium. Say that this is your this is the point of equilibrium. In your diagram, show the aggregate expenditure and the equilibrium level of national income. So that is basically, can you just check the answer if they have marked anything else? If I'm not mistaken, that should be it. If you want, you can have a expenditure also corresponding to that. I think that's more than enough. If you want, you can add a consumption function, investment, and all of it. Has the answer given an just check? Can someone check the past paper answer? Have they drawn consumption functions, investment functions, and stuff separately? I don't think. No, this is it, right? Or is there all of that? No. Okay, so a proper diagram like this will give you your 4 marks. Okay, so you need to mark the 2 axes. You need to mark a 45-degree line, the y equals E line, the expenditure line, the equilibrium. All of it has to be shown clearly. So simple thing, just to draw the diagram. That's all they're asking. Okay, done. So question number 4 now. Okay, now this is a sum. Suppose in a hypothetical economy, MPC is 0.9, where gross national disposable when gross national disposable income is 0, aggregate consumption 100. Guys, they might give you crazy stuff, right? They might scare you. They might give you, big names. Gross national disposable income is 0, aggregate consumption is 100. In simple terms, they are saying you autonomous consumption is 100. Income is 0, consumption is 100 means autonomous consumption is 100. They might give you big words to scare you. You might wonder, where is this gross national disposable income? I studied this in unit number 5. No, how is this coming here? Just don't get scared, right? Simple stuff. And then autonomous, assume investment is 200, government purchase 45, net exports is 0, taxes is 50. Okay, find equilibrium level of national income. Okay, I'm also getting a little fed up of finding equilibrium level of national income, but never mind. Okay, so y is equal to E. My 2022 batch will do this much faster than me also. I just finished unit number 6 with them. We did almost around 20-30 equilibrium calculations. Yeah, way well expert, and they are fed up of this. Okay, equation 100 plus 0.9 yd. I'm also fed up because I've been teaching this now. Okay, 9 yd and okay, C plus I is 200, government spending is 45, net exports is 0. Okay, so you can just leave it off. Taxes they're given as, okay. So y is equal to, again, at the autonomous parts, 200, 300, 345 plus 0.9, 0.9 y minus, how much is our taxes? Our taxes is 50. So y minus 50. Okay, so then y is equal to 345 plus 0.9 into y is 0.9y, right? 0.9 into this thing is minus 45. Can you see when it nicely goes? It feels very satisfying when it becomes a 300, a nice number. Okay, 0.9y. So 0.1y is equal to 300. Y is equal to 3. Now, that's your final answer for 2 marks. Okay, and then what would be the effect on equilibrium level of national income of a simultaneous increase in government purchase and taxes by 10 billion? What happens if government purchase and taxes both increase by 10 million? What happens? What happens to national income? If government purchase and this increases by 10 million, what are they testing me, guys? This is the balanced budget. The balanced budget multiplier, right? So you're increasing government spending also by 10, you're increasing taxes also by 10. So when you do that, right? So you can talk about, you can say this is a situation, right? Situation of a balanced budget where you're increasing both government spending and taxes by the same amount. So when you do this, right, you can also say balanced budget. You can say the balanced budget if you want, you can do the calculation. Okay, you can increase G by 10 and T by 10 and do the entire calculation, get 3010, and you can do that. But that is not what they're testing ideally, right? The multiplier is 1, right? So that means if this and this increases by 10, national income will increase by 10 billion. So what effect on national income? You can say, therefore, when you write all the dot, when government increases their taxes by 10 billion and also spends that 10 billion, national income will increase by 10 billion. Yeah, that's all that you have to kind of write. So put in something like that. Your answer is more than enough. Guys, for this, you need to know a bit of the balanced budget multiplier. Trust me, guys, the balanced budget multiplier is a part that many students are a little bit confused with. So please refer to that in your theory or revision or whatever notes, right? And my revision class students, fast track students, you all would have that in your previous recordings. Please go and watch that. It's a very, very important area that you can score on, because a lot of people kind of mess that up. Okay, so that is it about the 2019 paper. Okay, we'll do the, yeah, you can show that in the y equals E1, no problem. So you can increase the government spending by 10 and increase the taxes by 10 and do that entire thing and show, I think at the end of the day, you'll get 3,010 billion, right? So, but that is not what they're ideally testing here. They're testing if you know the balanced budget multiplier, then if you know the fact that if you increase government spending and taxes without doing the calculation, can you say it? That is what they're testing ideally. Right? Just check the answer. Is the answer showing you all to do the calculation again? I don't think. Anyone answer? The past paper answer? Is the past paper answer, have they done the calculation all over again by increasing this by 10 and 10? No, right? Have they? I don't know. I have no idea. I have not even seen the answer. What has the answer done? Have they given you just the balanced budget explanation, or have they increased this by 10, 10 and so on? 2019 A levels, question number 5, part 4. What is the answer say again? No. Okay, no one wants to respond. Fine. Okay. They have used KT and KG, no? Yeah, so KT and KG. So KT is, in our case, KT is how much? 0.9. So KT is 10 and, KG is 10 and KT is 9, right? 9, right? Minus NPC over 1. Yeah, so but at the end of the day, balanced budget multiply is 1, right? So therefore you get 10 billion. Fine. That done. I'll leave this 2019 old syllabus paper for a while. We'll do the 2020. If you have time, we'll come back to this. I'm sure. Has anyone done this? 2019, the old syllabus paper? Done? Anyone? Okay, we'll do the 2020 and then come back to this. Okay. I think most of you all would have not done that, because that's not available in past papers also, apart from that. Okay, this is a 2020 paper, the latest paper that you all have, right? So I'll come back to that, okay, once we do this. The 2020 A-level, the latest paper that you all have. So now, ideally, if you really want to check if you have understood the unit and all of it, if you have done the past papers properly, see if this, if you can do this. But in this, I like the part 4 question. It was not something that was repeated in past papers. So that's a nice question. It's a direct theory question, but at least it's not repeated from past papers. Okay. Question number 3. Okay, to get your first 6 marks, we'll get the first 6 marks first. Okay. Question number part 3, part A. What is the autonomous expenditure in this economy? How much? Autonomous expenditure? No, not 500. Autonomous consumption is 500. Autonomous expenditure? It's 1,100, guys. The 500 from this, I mean, this is autonomous expenditure, everything, right? You need to take the autonomous consumption plus the I. If there is G, if there is exports also, you can add those also. So autonomous expenditure is a 500 plus a 600, it's 1,100. Okay, that's part A. Part B is saying what is the equilibrium level of aggregate output. Okay, now equilibrium level of national income. Guys, I'm not going to do the calculation for you. Can you all calculate and give me a final answer? Y equals E, so Y is equal to C plus size, that's 500 plus 0.8 Y plus 600. Solve this, how much do we get? Okay, so you all can do the calculation now. I'm not going to waste time. Okay, 5,500 according to you. Okay, then part C, the investment multiplier. How much is our investment multiplier? Again, I'm hoping you all know, right? So 1 divided by 1 minus MP C. Okay, so 1 minus MPC, put the numbers, solve everything, you get 5 times. Okay, so that's an easy 6 marks that you can get. Okay, now they're asking for this one. This is the new addition here. Explain the difference between the aggregate expenditure function and the aggregate demand function. Now, you all will wonder, okay, now aggregate demand also C plus I plus C plus N. Aggregate expenditure also C plus I plus C plus NX. Is this the same thing? The components might look the same, but there is a technical difference, right? So aggregate expenditure, okay, aggregate expenditure means, right, the total, right, you can say aggregate expenditure is the planned expenditure of the economy. So the planned expenditure of the economy, okay, so you can add to this, right? The planned expenditure of the economy is a part of, why do we take 600 as autonomous expenditure? Guys, that is autonomous expenditure, no, guys. Guys, what is autonomous expenditure? Autonomous expenditure means an expenditure that does not depend on income. So this 500 doesn't depend on income. This 600 also doesn't depend on income. There is no Y part in this. So all of that is autonomous expenditure. They're not asking you for autonomous consumption. If they ask you for autonomous consumption, yes, I agree, the answer will be 500. They're asking you for autonomous expenditure. So the 500 plus I. Get the meaning of what autonomous. Then I think you should be able to figure that out. Okay. Okay, so it's the planned expenditure of the economy, and you can say, so maybe if you can talk about a simple economy or closed economy. Let's say in a closed economy, right? In a closed economy, this would include, right? You can say consumption, right? How much households are willing to spend, investment, right? And let's say government spending. So you can, in different, you can expand this, right? So you can say consumption is the amount that consumers are willing to spend or households are willing to spend. Investment is the amount that firms are willing to spend. And government spending is the amount that the government is willing to spend. So aggregate expenditure, always say it's the planned expenditure. How much people are willing to spend, right? How much they're planning to spend. And then you can draw the aggregate expenditure curve, right? So I'll draw the curve here. So aggregate expenditure. In addition to that, you can draw the individual curves also. So this is the expenditure, right? In addition to that, you can draw the consumption function. You can draw the investment function. You can draw the government spending. What happened? Hold on. Okay, so you can draw the investment function. You can also draw a government, a G like that if you want. Okay, so you can say this is what aggregate expenditure is. So E is equal to C plus I plus C plus I plus G. That is aggregate expenditure. Then what is aggregate demand? Now aggregate demand, right? It's a small change, right? But aggregate demand means, right, hold on. Okay, what do you think we can write for aggregate demand then? If that is aggregate expenditure, what is aggregate? What can we write for aggregate demand now? Same thing. Oh, now they're asking you for the difference between the two. No, you can't be writing the same thing. And they ask you for the difference between the two. What can you write over there? But when you look at aggregate demand, guys, can you, okay, okay, before I get into the explanation, look at the diagram of aggregate demand. How does what are the two axes in the aggregate demand? Now, this is E, this is Y. In the aggregate demand one, can you give me the two axes? What is this axis and what is this axis? Okay, this axis is Y. Okay, but what is the top axis? So Y, your output or the quantity, right? This axis, guys, is the price. Now, this has to give you a hint, right? So given that this is the price and your aggregate demand curve is like that, or you can even draw a straight line, that's fine, right? So AD that way, or even AD this way, a little curved, that's all right. So what does this show you? What does this aggregate demand show you? What does the aggregate demand curve show you? It's at different prices, right? The amount that people are willing to purchase, right? So you can say the okay, the amount of, we'll say, goods and services, or you can say the amount of output, right? The amount of output, you can say consumers, firms, and the government. Consumers, firm, and the government are, you can say, okay, you can even say foreign buyers, even net exports is a part, government, foreign buyers desire to buy at each different price level, at each given, I'll say, price level. That price level part is important here. Now in aggregate expenditure, we don't talk about any price. Aggregate expenditure is simply the planned expenditure of consumption, investment, and government. But when you talk about aggregate demand, right, it is the amount of, yes, that is also like an expenditure, but it is the expenditure at each given price. So that is the addition there, right? The small addition there is the price. So guys, when you get questions like this, don't worry too much, right? How am I going to show the difference? How am I going to do all of this? Trust me, for the two curves itself, right? So with appropriate diagrams for this curve itself, I think now 5 marks, well, would have got, just check how many marks, how are they breaking down the marks in the paper? I remember something like this curve gets 2 marks. I remember this curve gets 2 marks. This curve got 1 mark. And then the explanation got 1 and 1. If I'm not mistaken, that's how I remember in the past paper. That's how that 5 marks was given. So, right? So when you explain the difference here, now you definitely know the difference between the two curves now, guys, right? The two curves you can draw. The 2 and 1, 3 marks taken. What you simply have to write is, right, when they ask you to explain the difference, when you don't know, when you can't see a clear difference, you write the definition of the concept. Through the definition, if you have properly written the definition, then the difference is automatically seen. So aggregate expenditure means the planned expenditure, right? That these people are able to buy. Yeah, so aggregate expenditure diagram 2 marks. Okay. And then aggregate demand. Yeah, so aggregate demand diagram, they will give 1 mark because there's only one curve there, right? So if you want, in addition to this, you can show, right, at this price, this is the demand. At this price, this is the demand. Likewise, you can just draw a few lines also and show, no problem. So just put in the definition. If you can't now, this applies to anywhere, right? Anywhere in econ, right? They will ask you to differentiate between this and this. Sometimes you might wonder, what on earth is the difference between this and this? But properly put the definition out, then that mark comes. Don't get scared just because, you know, this question was never been there before, must be a harder question. Don't get that scared there. So that is the thing that you can write here for 4 marks. So again, 11 marks, a very, very easy 11 mark in the 2020 paper. Even in the 2020 paper, if you look at the question number 5, it's a very easy question. I think we would have done the national income accounting questions already, right? I think one was about whether you include it in GDP or not. And then the other was a calculation, if I'm not mistaken, right? So 11 marks for this. The previous 9 marks was 5 marks for whether you include in GDP or not, 5 or 4 marks, I can't remember. And then a few other marks for a small GDP and some calculation, which you could have easily got your 9 marks. So this 20 marks is not a hard 20 mark to get, guys. So people planning for, again, a higher one, right? Yeah, 3 marks for both the diagrams. So 2 marks for this, 1 mark for this. Okay. So it's not a tough question. So you can definitely do. Okay. So I'll just go through the 2019 old syllabus paper, because that is a little bit of a good question. Since we have 10 minutes, I'm not going to go through in detail because I know none of you all have done it apart from just one person who just said she did it. This had a few nice questions. So most of the questions I would have. Okay, what is meant by MPC? That we know, right? Marginal propensity to consume. For 2 marks, you can explain that. Okay, so MPC is the change in consumption divided by change in income. That means when your income increases, the percentage of the part of it which you spend on consumption. So the correct, look at this, right? So 2 marks, I put the actual marking scheme. What is meant by MC, you get 2 marks for your definition, right? So saying that is the ratio of change in consumption expenditure to a change in income, put the equation, 2 marks there, that you all know. But then this one, why is it less than 1? Why should the MPC be less than 1? Yes. You need to say, right? Can you look at the answer here? They say, although an increase in income induces an increase in the consumption does not increase by the same amount as an increase in income. No? So now if you say, right now, what is that MPC 0.8 means? 0.8 means if income increases by 1 rupee, consumption will increase by 80 cents. That is what it means. So according to Keynes, right, the Keynesian theory, they say MPC is always positive. It will never be a negative. It is greater than 0, but less than 1. So that means a person, when his income increases, yes, he will consume a part, but he will never consume the entire part. So MPC will never be 1. Let's say if income increases by 1,000, the entire 1,000 he will not consume. So these are very theoretical concepts, right? In reality, if you study now, even at our level at university, what we study is completely different than this, right? We go into so much of advance, and, you know, all these theories and stuff, we disprove that, right? We look at the mistakes in all of these, right? All of these theories are, yes, the models are there, this MPC and C equals A plus BYD and stuff like that, but it's completely not true, right? So things like that are there. So a small thing like that is more than enough. Now you don't have to write the exact same thing, okay? Something from the something that would make sense will be more than enough. That's for that. Then why is the value of the multiplier positively related to MPC? Again, a good question. Now, that means if the MPC increases, multiplier also increases, no? They're asking why is that? Now, that it's common sense, but look at the answer that they have given. They have said, multiplier refers to a situation at which a change in autonomous expenditure will cause a change in national income greater than the initial change. So they start off with a small definition of what the multiplier is. So then they say, multiplier is the reciprocal of MPS. So MPS can be obtained by 1 minus MPC. So they've given an equation. Can you see? A small thing, right? A small answer showing what does the multiplier mean. Can you see how they've approached the question? That is what I want to teach you all here. Why is the value of multiplier related to MPC? Now, your answer should not be like a one-line sentence. So see how they have broken these 4 marks too. Now, inside this question, you don't have any subparts, right? So even You wonder, okay, how am I going to break these 4 marks down? Look at how they have broken it down. They've started off for 2 marks. They've explained what does this multiplier mean. They say multiplier is where, you know, an initial increase in something will cause a multiple number of times a greater change in national output. And then they show how it is calculated. So they give you 2 marks for that, for writing the basic. Now remember guys, in any question, if you, sometimes the question might be hard. Okay. So if you don't know what to write the basics at least, what you know in that area, because you can get marks. Now you might not know why is the MPC and this thing having a positive relationship, but you know what is multiplier. You know how is multiplier calculated, right? To see, you would have got 2 marks there, right? So never ever leave a question blank, because the moment you leave it blank, that's a 0, right? There is no way the examiner can give you a mark. But if you have written something, don't write total crap, right? But something related to that concept. Now you all know something related to multiplier, now you know something related to MPC, right? So if you can do that, okay, trust me, you can get some mark. Yes, you might not get the entire mark. You don't need 100 out of 100, right? If you are looking for an A, you need 150 out of 200. There is 50 marks that you can lose for an A. But I did target for something more than an A now, right? Okay, and then they say, now see how they have approached the other 2 marks to show that relationship. They say, if there is an increase in MPC, right, on domestically produced goods and services, it will eventually lower MPS and increase the value of multiplier, vice versa. That is why the value of multiplier is positively related to MPC. The greater the MPC, the lower the MPS and the larger the multiplier. So they're simply showing you, right? So they are saying when the, I think in my revision tute or some tute, I would have had a small box. I would have explained that. I would have said MPC, right? Just check whoever who came to my revision class, MPS. Fast track bit was there? Ah, yes, it was there in the fast track tute. So when MPC increases, right, MPS falls. As a result, what happens to your multiplier? Your multiplier, right, your K increases. I would have gone and showed you how it affects national income and all of that. So that story is what they are writing in a box here, guys. The same story, they're putting it in a box, right? So they are saying, if there's an increase in MPC, it will lower MPS, right? Increase in MPC will lower MPS, that we know, right? And it will increase the value of the multiplier and vice versa. So that is why there is a positive relationship. So it's a very simple thing. But if you are logically trying to explain now MPC increasing means people are now spending more money, right? From the increase in income, they're spending a higher portion on that. So as a result, it gets multiplied a higher number of times. So if you want, what you can do, guys, if you want to further explain your answer, you can put in some numbers and show. So MPC 0.8, right? The multiplier is, the K is 5 times, right? MPC goes to 0.9. When MPC increases, right? What happens? K is now 10 times. So when so you're showing a positive relationship, right? MPC increasing, your multiplier also increase. So you can put in some numbers like this and prove your answer as well if you really want to prove it. Okay. So that's about that question. Again, a very easy question. Okay. This one is, I'm not going to okay, so aggregate consumption is given. Investment is 700. Net exports is not there. Government budget is balanced with government purchases and taxes equal to 500 each. Calculate equilibrium level of GDP, because equilibrium level of GDP means equilibrium national income. I'm hoping by now you all can calculate that. Okay. Can someone give me an answer, whoever who found that, so that I can explain the B part? I'm not going to show you how to calculate equilibrium now. I'm hoping after doing all of these questions, you're done. 3,500. Okay. So equilibrium level of national income is 3,500. Now look at the B part. The B part is an interesting question. This is 3,500. Now here they're saying, okay, so you do this and you find the answer is 3,500. Here they're saying, if the potential GDP is 5,000, is there a deflationary or inflationary gap? What type of gap is there? The actual GDP is 3,500. Your potential level is 5,000. Do you have a deflationary or an inflationary output gap? You have a deflationary gap, right? You're below full employment. Potential means you're full employment. So you're below full employment. How much? If so, how much? 1,500. So you're 1,500 short. So that has to be your answer. Very, very simple thing, right? So nothing big there. That's another easy 4 mark. Okay. Then question 4 is asking about what is the multiply effect. You can talk about what the multiply effect is, where, you know, initial increase in this is passed on to initial increase in an autonomous consumption gets passed on to several other levels of consumption. As a result, national income increases a multiple number of times. Whatever definition you have studied, you put it down there. So use a 45-degree line to illustrate the multiplier effect of a decrease in government purchase. Now, how do you do that? Okay, so very simple terms, guys. You draw a diagram, right? Draw a diagram. You have government purchase, right? Okay, so this is your E curve. Let's say this is your bad diagram. Yes, guys, there is an answer script for this paper. I think it's there in that Google Drive that I would have given you all. I would have sent that like 100 times. Just check. I would have sent you all a Google Drive link. In that link, it is there. Okay, my line is so bad. I hate drawing lines in this, but never mind. Okay, that's your y equals e, right? So this is your equilibrium level of national income. So now what are they saying? They're telling you, right? What is the multiplier effect? Use a 45-degree line, right, to illustrate the multiplier effect of a decrease in government purchase, right? So to illustrate a multiplier effect of a decrease in government purchase. So let's say now when government purchase falls, what happens to your expenditure? This is your expenditure curve. Huh? What happens? Your E curve falls, right? So your expenditure curve, okay, I can't copy and paste it, but okay, never mind. I'll try to draw a parallel line. Okay, so your expenditure will fall. Okay, not parallel. Hold on. This is the hardest part. Okay, that is somewhat okay, right? Okay, so how does this? They're asking to show the multiply effect, right? So use a 45-degree line to illustrate the multiply effect of a decrease in government purchase. So you need to say when you decrease government purchases, right? When government purchase decreased, right? Now you have a new expenditure function. You have expenditure function form. So government purchase would have fallen only by this level. Let's say 200 became 100. But because government purchase fell by this much, can you see equilibrium, right? Equilibrium level of national income fell by this much. Can you see there's a huge drop? That is the multiply effect. A small fall in government purchase, yes, expenditure fell a little, but as a result, what happened? Your equilibrium level of national income fell a multiple number of times. So same thing happens when it increases, guys. That's the multiplier. That's how we show the multiply effect on a diagram. Now let's say your this increased, right? So a small, okay, my diagram is okay, better, right? So this one here, my diagram is a little bad. Don't worry about my diagram. Increase in that, it causes a multiple number of times of increase in this. Now, ideally, this distance has to be lower than this distance. Okay, my diagram only, it's not parallel. Don't worry about that. That has to be the case. So that is how you show the multiply effect on a diagram. So you show a small increase. So in our answer is this, right? A small decrease here is causing a huge decrease, multiplying decrease. That is what you need to talk about. Okay, and then the part 5, why does GDP change by a large amount from a change in government purchase than from a change in taxes? I think I would have explained that on the balanced budget story, right, which we did previously. So that is, now this question I think is a good question. 2019, the old syllabus paper is a good question for unit 6, a little bit harder and a little bit uncommon. So that's the old syllabus paper. So that is the end of unit number 6. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll start from unit number 7 the next week, right? So if you have any friends, you can invite them as well. At the end of the day, it's free. I see a lot of teachers charging for past papers, right? So I'm also doing the same thing. So I know sometimes it's a little bit more valued when it's charged, but the quality is the same. The only thing is I don't print and send you all the paper. You all have the paper with you all, right? The discussion I think is equally the same. So anyone else who is interested, they can also join. So just pass on the message to any friend. I'll send the group link to anyone. So someone who is joining from next week, they can start catch from the beginning of unit number 7 itself, rather than joining from the middle of somewhere and then they're a little lost. So unit number 7, that's your grade 13 syllabus, that is beginning. So we'll again, same format, guys. Please do the questions and come. Okay. We'll start with unit number 7. We'll start with the MCQs 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15. And add me to this group. Guys, can you send me the number on WhatsApp? I'll just send you. Right? Okay, I'll send the past papers also. Okay. Just the timings will be Saturday 7 to 6. Going forward, fast track, I'm giving August a break in the fast track. So I might use the fast track time also to do beyond the classroom. That is Tuesday nights and Saturday nights. Whoever who can come, you all can come. Okay, the time is not going to change, guys, for any reason. That's the only time I have free. So on August, we are not doing the fast track thing because A-levels got postponed. We're taking a month break there. So I might use that time. I'm not saying I will use all the Tuesdays and Saturdays because I also need to study for an exam. Few Tuesdays and Saturdays I might use for BYC, right? To finish it off a little bit more faster. Time will not change. So don't drop me a text asking for a change in time. I'm really sorry. That's the only time I have. If you really want to come, you all can come. Okay. That is basically it. So I'll see you all again. The 8 mock exams will start in September. So we were planning to do mock exams in August and September, right? But then I felt there is a break in October, which you all might lose your momentum. So the mock exams, the 8 mock exams, I have already made the papers. We will be doing it in September and October. That's fast track, huh? Yes, guys. So mock exams also, you all will get a booklet, just like how you all got for the other fast track months. You all will get a booklet. All the mock. It's not going to be a PDF, guys. Don't worry. It will be a proper physical paper, a book, right? With 4 mock exams and complete answers. Okay. So that will be the story. I'll see you all again on next Saturday for this. Yes, guys. Anyone can join for the mock exams. It's starting in September. I'll let you all know by September. Still, it's just about to begin August, guys. No hurry. Okay. See you guys. Have a good day. Bye-bye.